1,000 people, $5 million, and endless opportunities to stab your teammates in the back. How far do you think you'd make it in Beast City? We're breaking down every game in the first 4 episodes of Beast Games, but check back each week as we recap the whole show. Beast Games begins with a ton of people talking about what they plan on doing with the $5 million prize. But before the first official challenge even begins, Mr. Beast gives everyone a chance to walk home with some money by bringing out $1 million and offering people the chance to self-eliminate right then and there. The caveat is that the $1 million will be split amongst everyone who gets out of the game, meaning the more people who choose to leave, the smaller the jackpot becomes.
Right now, you're a millionaire. Oh, someone else hit it. All right, now you're only a 500,000-aire.
When all is said and done, 52 decide to split the prize, meaning they each go away with about $19,230. It's not a bad payday, but it's a far cry from the $5 million prize. As it turns out, they may have been the lucky ones, because things take a turn for the cutthroat pretty soon. For the next game, Mr. Beast divides the contestants into their respective rows. The challenge is that one person has to voluntarily eliminate themselves from the competition to go home with nothing. By eliminating themselves, everyone else in the row can keep playing. The decision has to be made quickly, as the final 3 rows without a volunteer will see everyone in those rows go home. It's an emotional test, but sort of an honorable showcase of people getting rid of themselves for the greater good. In the end, 243 people get eliminated in this game, leaving only 705 to keep striving for those millions of dollars. By the second challenge, Beast Games starts looking a whole lot more like Squid Game when it turns to a scaled-up toddler's game. Every contestant starts with a narrow red block on their podium and an assortment of other blocks in various shapes. The goal is to stack the blocks onto the starting piece without it tipping over. The first 100 players to lose control of their towers will exit the game. This one's a bit odd. There's a time limit, and only the first 100 players to have their towers full go home. That means, theoretically, you could just not do the game. If you sat there not even risking stacking the blocks, you could, in theory, make your way to the next game. At the very least, it makes sense to wait until there are only a couple of minutes left before stacking to hedge your bets. No matter what your strategy is though, it's not the right time to show off.
Mine's done, but I can do... No!
In the heat of the moment, many players probably aren't thinking logically. More than 100 contestants wind up with fallen towers, so even some individuals who lost theirs end up advancing. From the first episode, it's clear Beast Games is more about psychology than physical strength. The final challenge for this episode is essentially the opposite of the first challenge. Instead of sacrificing themselves for their group, everyone has the chance to accept a cash bribe in exchange for their group getting eliminated. No one takes the initial $10,000 offer, but once that increases to $20,000, someone takes it to the dismay of their teammates. The bribe then increases to $50,000 and then $80,000, with more and more people taking the offer as it keeps getting higher. The final offer is $100,000, and by the end of it all, 112 people leave, bringing the total number of remaining players to 493. Over half of the players who were there at the start of the episode are now gone. It's an interesting social experiment, especially with the final row to get eliminated. These people probably didn't know each other before the game started, and at the end of the day, folks only look out for their own self-interest. Episode 2 opens with the remaining players moving into Beast City, a custom-built neighborhood specifically designed to house people and play games.
We're with a bunch of crazy lunatics who have all turned down $100,000 to be in a city that was built for us to have fun. Like, ridiculous.
And things get brutal quickly. To set up the episode's challenges, the players randomly choose tokens that dictate what kind of game they'll play. The first one involves everyone with that particular token getting divided into 2 groups. Each group goes into a room where a ball is dropped through the ceiling. If the ball hits the floor, that entire group gets eliminated. It goes by quickly, and the 4th ball that comes down ends the game. But in this challenge, there was a surprise twist. When Mr. Beast and the guards review the footage, they discover that the team they thought had won the matchup actually allowed a ball to drop the very first try. Whoops! It was just a quick drop, but with cameras everywhere, nothing escapes Mr. Beast's watchful eye. The joy from the initial winning team quickly changes to despair, and they all go home empty-handed.
And with that, 62 people have been eliminated. Next game.
The next game follows a contestant who had the token with the phrase "less is more." Surprise! It's another self-elimination challenge, something Mr. Beast seems particularly fond of. Players get divided into two teams, the green team and the white team, and the group with the fewest people remaining through others eliminating themselves gets to move on. The team that ends up with the most players sees everyone go home. The two teams can't see each other, so neither team knows how many players the other side has eliminated. Each group gets a phone, so they can call each other to talk things over, or get in one another's heads. Both teams reach a tentative agreement to end in a tie and bring it to a tiebreaker match. But manipulation is the name of the game here, and both sides still try to sabotage that agreement by secretly eliminating a few of their players. Once the dust settles, the white team has 4 people leave, as opposed to 3 leaving the green team. That means 65 people exit the game, leaving only 366. The next token reads, "Get ready to throw down," and this challenge turns out to be a giant version of beer pong, though without the beer. Each individual player gets a huge ball to throw into a giant red cup. Each successful throw results in 1 point for the team, and the team with the most points by the end advances to the next round. It sounds easy enough, but Mr. Beast brings another social experiment into the mix. After a few tosses, he rolls out a gold cup. Players can now either aim for the red cup to score a point for their team, or try to get it into the gold cup, which won't give them a point, but will give them a personal $250,000.
We're gonna find out if you're a team player or if you just want some money.
Although nobody comes out and admits it, it appears that a few contestants take aim for the gold cup. The pink team emerges victorious, and the 61 players on the white team go home, bringing the remaining count to 305. The challenges so far in Beast Games Episode 2 have dealt with luck and physical strength, but the final group has to use their brains, as this challenge involves trivia. Once more, people with the specific token get divided into 2 groups, and are further segmented into groups of 4 that go down to Mr. Beast to answer a trivia question. A correct answer nabs the entire team a point, and the team with the most points by the end wins. Both teams are pretty smart, and there are numerous rounds where they each get the correct answer.
What did you write down?
Pluto and Neptune.
Is Pluto a planet anymore? I don't think Pluto's a planet.
A couple more mistakes like that, and all 63 members of the white team wind up going home. Beast Games is left with 242 contestants remaining, less than a quarter of what it started with. And while 4 intense games may have been enough for one episode, Mr. Beast has one more surprise for everyone. By the finale of Episode 2, there are 4 teams who have already survived one matchup. Next, Mr. Beast asks each of those 4 teams to select a captain. Each captain gets the opportunity to accept a bribe in exchange for sending their teams home. But there's a further twist. If a captain does eliminate their team, only the other teammates leave the games. The captain gets the money and gets to stay. Again, it's an exercise in trust, especially since the teams decide who the captain is, meaning they have to select a stranger they find trustworthy. The episode ends before reaching the conclusion of the challenge, but no one ends up taking the bribe, which reaches $1 million. It's an admirable demonstration of integrity, and no players get eliminated. Putting your fate into someone else's hands is undoubtedly stressful, so Mr. Beast offers a reprieve for the first challenge of Beast Games Episode 3. Everyone divides up into groups of 3 for a sack race, and
To switch things up a bit, we're gonna play a game that won't eliminate anybody.
the winning team gets some perks, namely a chance to stay in the much nicer T-Mobile VIP house, as well as a secret gift that would only be revealed after the race. It seems like a lot of people just kind of goofed around with the potato sack race since there was no risk of elimination. Player 351, 435, and 514 end up winning, and while staying in a VIP house is nice, the real joy is the reveal that they'd have immunity in the next challenge. The idea of immunity should be old news to any Survivor fans out there. The hammer comes down after the race when the players learn they'll have to say goodbye to at least some of the friends they've made. The potato sack race was just a ploy to get people to form teams with whoever they liked most, and that makes the next challenge one of the most painful of the series so far. Immediately following the sack race, the guards escort the teams to a room filled with red cubes. Each team is led into a cube with a phone inside where they must decide who from their group of 3 has to go home. In the event they can't determine which person will go home in 5 hours, then all 3 are eliminated.
You can use that phone to request literally any item in the world.
It seems like if the players could request anything, they could ask for the $5 million, but nobody did that. There's also a pair of handcuffs for the eliminated player to chain themselves to the inside. This is when Beast Games becomes almost unbearable to watch. Some contestants start crying right away, forced to choose between themselves and the people they've grown close to over the course of the competition. For most, it's an impossible decision. So many resort to requesting games like Monopoly, cards, and Jenga to make the decision for them, with the loser staying behind. For others, they decide to have a bit of fun before saying goodbye to their buddies. Some of the more outrageous requests include a horse, puppies, a tattoo artist, and princess dresses. But the fun could only last so long. Some groups resort to cheating and manipulation, and even one of the captains who turned down $1 million in Episode 2's challenge ends up getting handcuffed. 94 people go home. That means just 148 are left trying to win that $5 million prize. After the heartbreaking Cube Challenge, Mr. Beast brings out a gold gift box. Whatever's inside will go to whomever touches it first. Player 406 runs up to touch the box immediately. Many of the other players believe it will be something bad, but it turns out to be a ticket to go to the private island to compete further for the $5 million prize. The lucky winner also gets to take 5 other people with him, including his brother and a captain who had turned down $1 million. There are 54 more spots on the island. Mr. Beast announces that the next ticket is hidden somewhere in Beast City, and whoever finds it will also go to the island with 5 more people of their choosing. Everyone starts scattering, but the episode ends before there's any resolution. Episode 4 picks up right where Episode 3 leaves off. The race for the golden ticket to Beast Island is a fast-paced game that has an abrupt conclusion. Contestants search high and low for the ticket, with some even climbing the tower. People turn over anything that isn't nailed down to find the ticket, with the game mostly coming down to luck and being in the right place at the right time. Ultimately, player 413 finds a ticket underneath the ping pong table. He then selects 5 other men to go with him, much to the dismay of some of the women, who have barely had a chance to get on a helicopter at this point.
Trying to turn Beast Island into Sausage Island, and I don't like it.
The next game requires a bit of skill, and there's actually a threat of elimination. Mr. Beast gives everyone a red ball, and there's a 10-minute timer ticking down to 0. The 6 people who throw their ball to the ground closest to the timer hitting 0 get on the next helicopter. Anyone who's still holding their ball once the countdown ends is gone. It's a test of patience that reveals a lot about some of the players. Many throw their balls down immediately. They may not get on the next helicopter, but they will live on to fight in another game. Others hedge their bets a bit more closely. By the end, 20 folks are still holding balls, bringing the total count of remaining players to 128. When a bunch of people are isolated together, it's only natural for factions to break out. Beast Games sees a bit of that come to the surface with Episode 4's third challenge. With 110 people still competing for a spot on a helicopter, Mr. Beast gives everyone a coin. The goal is for one person to acquire at least 100 of them. If they can amass the full 100, then they'll get a spot on the helicopter and can choose 5 more to go with them. In the event no one can acquire the necessary 100 coins, then the helicopter leaves empty. Almost immediately, people start chanting for Jeremy, aka the Preacher. Jeremy was one of the 4 captains who gave up $1 million to keep going. Some contestants want to reward him for his integrity, but not everyone is convinced. There's a concern that Jeremy won't take any women with him, and others simply don't like the cult-like following he has, especially after some of these people hint at reprisals for anyone who doesn't hand over their coin. Jeremy tells the others that he'll pray to determine which 5 players will go with him. In the end, Jeremy gets over 100 coins, and after praying, takes 4 men and only 1 woman. For the next challenge, Mr. Beast brings in 3 helicopters that can take 18 more people to go to the Beast Island. It's a real make-or-break moment, and the game is exceptionally tough. The remaining contestants in Beast City divide into groups of 6 and are told to form lines. The person at the front of that line gets a red glass ball and a pedestal to balance it on. The objective is to pass the stand and the ball to each of the players, with the 3 teams who get the ball to the end of the line fastest getting a helicopter ticket. However, some teams realize there's another winning strategy. Rather than trying to get the ball to the end, they realize they can just hold it rather than try to pass it and let the other teams break their balls first. The lateral thinking pays off. The 5th challenge in Episode 4 is another psychological test. Contestants are told to wear blindfolds and to stand around the helicopter landing pad. With 60 seconds on the clock, players must decide whether to step forward into the inner circle. If more than 1 person steps in, then everyone within that inner circle gets eliminated. However, if only 1 person steps forward, they and 5 friends get a ticket to Beast Island. People immediately start playing mind games, shouting out that they have stepped forward even though they're hanging back.
I'm just gonna lie.
I'm on it!
2 women actually do step forward, which means they get eliminated. It only takes until the second round for just one person to get into the inner circle, and they advance to the island along with 5 others. With the 2 players gone from the first round, the total remaining stands at 126, with 78 of those still trying to get to the island. The next game isn't for a spot on Beast Island, it's yet another bribe, with Mr. Beast offering players a chance to walk away with up to $250,000. Players can either climb up one tower to continue going after the $5 million grand prize, or the other and split the $250,000 with however many other players decide to call it quits. A lot of people have already gone home with nothing to show for it, so it's understandable that at this stage some would want to take the easy way out. 18 people choose to split the $250,000 bribe, which means they each go home with just under $14,000. Considering they spent a few days playing minigames, it's not a bad payout, but that just means there are 60 people left trying to get a ticket, or 48 have already advanced. At the top of the tower with everyone left trying for a helicopter seat, the new goal is to throw a red ball toward a golden briefcase on the ground. Whoever gets their ball closest to the briefcase will get a ticket for themselves and 5 pals. Many people overthrow their balls, and after some time, contestants start to realize that deflating their balls a little bit decreases the chance of it bouncing away. This isn't a foolproof method, as some deflated balls still aren't anywhere near the target.
Did not seem to work out for her.
However, the strategy works out very well for player 696, who wins and selects 5 friends to go with her. With that, there's only one 6-seat helicopter left. The final challenge of episode 4 brings back some psychological manipulation. Mr. Beast has everyone break off into groups of 6 and stand on platforms. Just like with the potato sack race, friends assemble into groups, but that once again proves to be a mistake.
These are the people you want to go on the helicopter with.
Yes.
Mr. Beast once again gives everyone a coin. The objective is for one person on each platform to get the coins from everyone else, meaning only one person per platform can make it to Beast Island. While some know immediately who's most deserving to keep playing, others resort to mini-games. Not every platform's winner gets to go, with the ones taking the longest missing out on a seat. Everyone remaining gets sent home, while Beast Island now has its 60 inhabitants who will keep trying to win $5 million.